The star of the show is Simon Day, and I was thrilled to talk to him last week.
Thank you. I'm rather embarrassed but flattered to be called the star. I mean, I'm a faint twinkling star beside the pole star Sally Ann Triplett, but bless you.
This show is performed better, I think, than any other I've seen. It is just so brilliantly sung and particularly danced. I mean, the way this show's put together, it really is amazing, and I compliment you on that, because there's been a lot of rubbish in the West End recently, and to have a show like this come on that's just brilliant is amazing. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. The praise for that needs to be thrown at Trevor Nunn, who is second to none. He's just brilliant at putting on big shows. He knows how to move people around a stage and create magic, all the way down to the, sailor standing on the poop deck looking at the main events, so that anyone in the audience, wherever they're watching, will be convinced of the life on stage that Trevor's created. Also, the genius of Gareth Valentine, the musical coordinator and our sometime conductor, and Stephen Mear, who is a genius at choreography too. So it's the creative team. We just serve our masters.
For those who don't know, let's tell the story of Anything Goes. What's it about?
Well, certain characters are thrown on this ship that's going from New York to London. John Barrowman plays Billy Crocker, who is a broker, and he should be back on Wall Street selling his boss's shares in Amalgamated something, but in fact he's on board. He is a stowaway because he wants to try to get Hope Harcourt, who is my fiancée, Lord Evelyn's fiancée, away from me and to marry him. Also on board is his one-time date, Reno Sweeney, who is a sort of evangelist turned nightclub singer, an extraordinary bird. There's a sort of would-be gangster called Moonface Martin, who's public enemy number 13, because he's just not very good at it. He's a big bungler. There is Billy Crocker's boss, Eli Whitney, and Mrs. Harcourt, a very stern, money-grabbing lady who wants very much our wedding to go ahead, because that way their finances can be solved. So there's a lot to sort of screw up, and Billy Crocker, by stowing away, manages to screw up what everyone else's plans might have been. And needless to say, there's a happy ending and lots of nice weddings.
Visually, this has been so well staged. Basically, all you look at is the front, the side, the back of a ship, and the stage actually turns around. But it's not one of these musicals that baffles you with the science of the stage and tries to have things flying and water and fire to impress. The show is good enough that it doesn't need that.
Well, you are meant to think at one point that you're subdeck, a couple of floors in the brig, and yet that scene takes place ostensibly, on deck, but by clever lighting by David Hersey, you're, I hope, made to think that you're several floors below deck. And in my cabin scene and Eli Whitney's cabin scene, again, that would take place below deck. But so yes, it is very clever. It's very cleverly done, and with some wonderful double revolves. The sort of the poop deck goes one way, and the middle deck goes another way, and it's all rather excellent. And the orchestra are hidden away in there, and you'd never know.
However, there's one scene where it turns around and you get to see the orchestra, and I have never been so impressed by such an amazing orchestra. It's just brilliant, and the sound is just incredible.
They are extraordinary, wonderful arrangements, and the band itself, the noise they make, wonderful brassy, bright sound with, and there are guitars and saxophones and double basses and brilliant trumpeters, and it's just a wonderful, big, bright, happy sound.
We're here today at the Theatre Royal on Drury Lane with the star of Anything Goes. This is an incredible musical and a show that you must come and see. The band, as I've said, are just wonderful, and the cast are amazing. So it's a real good show, this. A rare treat in the West End, trust me on that one. We're here, as I say, with Simon Day. And I was just wondering, you're classically trained as an actor. You've done a lot of proper theatre, quote unquote. I was just wondering how you're finding musical theatre. Are you enjoying it? I know it's very different, but is it fun?
It's fabulous. I'm loving it. And it's a big cheerer-upper. Rather like I was saying earlier, the audience get cheered up. The actors all get cheered up too. You can have had a miserable day and you go away feeling much healthier about the world. It's also, as I was saying earlier, it's a bit frightening doing musicals if you haven't done them before very much, because of that whole music running away with you from you thing. I love music. I sang in a choir. I did grade 8 singing when I was at school. I've always loved it, but I'm not a dancer at all, so it was never really an option for me to even try to get into musical theatre. But I'm very lucky in that the sort of more classical stuff I seem to have done, I have interspersed with the odd musical. I did Candide by Bernstein down at the National, and I did Oh What a Lovely War, and by Jeeves by Ayckbourn and Lloyd Webber in the West End some years ago. So I have notched some up along the years, but I seem lucky to be able to dip in and out of it.
You are a classically trained actor in the old sense. How do they regard musical theatre? Is it as good or is it not as good?
I don't know. There are certainly people out there, critics, who think that big flagship state-sponsored Arts Council-funded theatre companies shouldn't be doing what commercial theatre can do, i.e. big musicals. I don't know whether the RSC are sniffy about musicals. I can't really say.
This musical really was a surprise, even I think, to Trevor Nunn, because its success is the reason that it's here today. It's gone from the National to a commercial theatre, if you like, where it's aiming at the mass audience. It's compliments again to the people who are in it, but also to Trevor Nunn. He just seems to have an ear for what sounds right, the budget to be able to do it right.
Well, and I think he certainly knows a good tune when he hears one. I think he does choose shows that sound great, but he's also just really good at storytelling. I would say that he could almost make the worst musical work, and I think probably in a bad production this musical would be dreadful, because it's paper thin, the story is pretty predictable and daft, the jokes are corny, that it looked at in a certain way. You could see the same reviews just tearing it apart if it weren't done with lightness and deftness and an ability to tell the story and ability to direct fast, which it is for big swathes.
Simon Day, thank you so much for spending the time to talk to us today here on the magic of the musicals on Broadway. We're here in the West End of London at the Theatre Royal on Drury Lane, and very finally, it must be such a thrill for any actor to be able to perform in this amazing theatre.
It's a huge thrill. It's a theatre that is steeped in history, and all around the front of the dress circle are the names of the theatrical greats: Siddons and Irving, Keane, Kemble, Garrick. So all the time you're standing up there, you think, the great actors of, we're not brilliant at many things, Britain, I'm sorry to say. There are world leaders in lots of other things. We lead the world in terms of acting. We're bloody good at it, and it feels a great privilege to be standing on a stage where that's been proven for 300 years.
And we have some beautiful theatres as well, and this is definitely one of them. It's a classic. It's the Theatre Royal Drury Lane. I'm going to let you go now because literally the call is being made to get you on stage. Thank you so much for sparing the time. Simon Day.
It's been a great pleasure. Do come and see us and we'll give you a good time.